As for a conversation is the MP for Kumeu constituency, Honorable Ernest Yao Enim. Good evening, Honorable. Thank you for your time, sir.
Yes, good evening, madam, and good evening to your listeners as well.
Thank you for joining us. This is a very worrying situation. When you visited, how did the prisons look like, sir?
Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to thank your station for giving us this platform. So, I serve as the chair for the Human Rights Committee of Ghana's Parliament, and as part of our mandate as a committee, we are supposed to ensure compliance of Ghana to human rights standards that we have signed onto and treaties. And one of the key things from recommendations that have come up from Universal Periodic Review has been our conditions within the prison service. And part of the committee's work plan for the year was to pay visits to some of these prisons to get at first hand the conditions within which the inmates live within our prisons. And yeah, Monday was our first visit to the Nsawam medium prisons, and we visited a couple of facilities within there, the meals cells, the condemned cells, and we had interactions with the officers there, and they mentioned a number of problems and challenges they are having as a service. And I must tell you, one thing that I was shocked was to learn of the overcrowding situation we have within the cells. Uh, the Nsawam prisons was originally built to host a capacity of 717, but currently, as we speak, they have up to about 3,548 inmates within there for a facility that can only host just about 717. And you have these numbers. It's quite worrying because let's ask ourselves if there is any contagious disease or communicable disease that breaks up out within the cells, it means that a lot more of these people are going to be affected. And this is a very worrying situation. And one other thing that we also came across was the feeding rates for the prisoners. I think across the country is 160, 1 Ghana city, 80 pesos. And committee members expressed concerns as to how the service is able to manage this rate for a 3 square meal for an adult at this stage is quite worrying, because even now in our schools, with this government school feeding program we have running, students are given 2 Ghana cedi per one meal for a day. And if you have prisoners taking 3 square meals at 1 cedi 80 pesos, that's quite worrying as well. We also had situations with the medical bills, the outstanding medical bills for someone, which is to the tune of almost 506,000 Ghana cedis. And we feel these are issues that we need to bring up to the fore so government can immediately intervene and help resolve some of these issues.
Let's take these three concerns: the feeding inadequacy, the lack of room for the prisoners to lay their heads, and their medical bills and the national health insurance bill. With the feeding, what is the committee looking at proposing to Parliament to be able to solve this issue in the very shortest time?
Okay, so the Committee on Defense and Interior already brought this matter up during the budget consideration before Parliament rose, and right now I think they are considering raising it to 5 Ghana cedis a day. That is 3 square meals, 5 cedis per day. We feel that even the 5 cedis is woefully inadequate, but at least it will be a giant step if we are able to increase it to even 5 Ghana cedis per day. And this rate has been in existence for the longest time. I think the last they had a review was about 10, 12 years ago. So, and we've that going forward we should have a mechanism in place where these rates would automatically be reviewed across. At least let's say an annual review, 2 year review, 3 year review, something that at least will be sustainable for service. So that is what we are pushing for, and we are going to work with the Committee on Defense and Interior to ensure that at least the ministry is able to pay attention to this feeding rate and the right thing is done for the service within the next few weeks or months.
Okay. Concerns have been raised about the sentencing of non-violent offenders, looking at the inadequacy of room to house or to contain these inmates. Would you be looking at pushing a legislation to look at giving other sentences to non-violent offenders rather than sentencing them into prison?
All these options are on the table, but what is of great concern to our committee is the human rights issues within the cells, and we are going to be working with a number of committees within Parliament to see the kind of legislation we need to push to help resolve some of these issues. So.
And with the national health issue, isn't there a way the prison could go into an agreement with the National Health Insurance Authority so that the prisoners could be taken care of differently than they are, and so the burden on the service to cater for the health and national health insurance needs would also be reduced?
So I think this issue actually came up during our discussions with the Director for Prisons for the Eastern Region, and it looks like a great number of the inmates in there do not have access to national health insurance cards, and what we are going to do this today. We had a meeting with the director general for Ghana Prison Service, together with the entire management team of Ghana Prison Service, and these issues came up. So what we are seeking to do is to engage the health committee of Parliament, so we can have some bit of arrangement with National Health Insurance Scheme. Then we can help provide insurance for all inmates across the country, because the critical thing is medical bills. And these are all human rights issues, the right to health. And as inmates, they are entitled to health care once they need it. So we feel that the National Health Insurance Card is one way of ensuring that all inmates have their rights to health secured for uh, each each individual within the prison. So it's something we are going to push. It's something we are going to coordinate with the other committees in Parliament to ensure that inmates do have access to national health insurance.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, let's look at the accommodation for these inmates. Obviously, the prisons are not enough, or the accommodations are not enough for these inmates. And so, what more can we be doing? Would you be liaising with the prison service? Would you be pushing agenda in Parliament to ensure that we have more room for our inmates, so that they too, even in their incarceration, they do not suffer such inhumane experiences?
Yeah, we understand that as a service they have funding constraints, and is one step at a time. It's something that came up. There is this construction ongoing at the prisons at Nsawam. That's the remand block, which is almost near completion. So one of the appeals they made was to advocate such that government can immediately complete that block. Then, as we move on, we'll look at how best government can provide more accommodation for these cells we have across the country. So it's something we are going to handle or take up as we move on. But then we believe that it's one thing at a time. So we'll take it gradually.